Hello everybody, hope there is some energy left in the room and you are still hungry to get some latest insights on human resources, on logistics leadership of tomorrow. But if I look at the audience here in the Marriott Hotel, I have to say it seems that the logistics industry has not a desperate need on the best people in the market, more need on a coffee it looks like. Nevertheless, we are talking about leadership in logistics of tomorrow in our last panel for today, and we are also online streaming, and that means all the students from our partner universities got free online tickets to see us, to be on stage with us, and of course also to see their colleagues. And yeah, why I don't sit down. So a big welcome to all of you on stage, and maybe I suggest to have a short introduction round. I would say ladies first. Julia, can we start with your side?
Sure. Thank you very much for the invitation. So my name is Julia Fallmann and I'm responsible for marketing and HR at Greenberger Logistics. To make it clear, I'm the head of marketing for all the European countries and Austria and Germany. And I do the HR recruiting and employer branding part, and my colleague is doing the development part. Yeah, what else?
I don't know, hobbies.
No, hobbies? Okay, now this is going to be a too long discussion then. Thank you.
All right, Johanna, please.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Johanna Habson and I'm 26 years old.
That's the microphone.
Maybe. So, can you hear me now? Yeah.
Wahrscheinlich einstellen, genau. Have to switch on, maybe.
So, I just start. So, yeah, perfect. My name is Johanna Habison, I'm 26 years old, and first I did my bachelor's degree in geography, and then I realized that this occupational field is not that what I want for my future, and yeah, I began to start another bachelor, and now I'm at the FH from BFE Vienna and study logistics and transport management. And yeah, about 3 weeks ago, I started my full-time job at Nespresso as demand and supply planner.
Great, thank you. Sebastian, please.
Yeah, my name is Sebastian Kummer. I'm head of the Institute of Transport and Logistics and doing research and, of course, teaching in this field. And obviously, we try to develop or educate young professionals and leaders, but also, of course, I'm also hiring. So if you are interested, we have now 2 positions available, and so I see both sides, and obviously, we are not so professional at the universities to do an employer branding and this kind of stuff, but until now we have the better access to the students. This is advantage.
Yeah. One for you.
That's a big advantage, right?
Yes. Otherwise, the payment is so bad. You would never.
I'm not sure if this was
not
the
for
best.
professors, obviously, no. Completely overpaid.
Adrian, please, a few words.
Thank you. My name is Adrian Boldizsár. I came from Hungary, University of Technology and Economics, and I'm a PhD student. I learned as transport engineering, and after I specialized the freight transportation, and now my researching in the freight transportation. The main question in my research is how link the economic and freight transportation in Europe in the macro level and by the countries and the regions. So I try to find a lot of things by the countries, the viewpoint of the freight transportation. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Sebastian, maybe she's working as an employee.
No, thanks. I'm learning and I'm teaching in the same time, so it's enough for me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Simon.
Okay, hello, my name is Šimon Hána. I'm from the Czech Republic. Hopefully I'm finishing my undergraduate degree this summer at Prague University of Economics and Business. I have some work experience from e-commerce logistics and international transportation. And currently I'm working in the Boston Consulting Group, and that's it.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Jakob.
Yep. Hello, my name is Jacob. I'm 22 years old, and I'm currently in my last semester of my bachelor studies, International Logistics Management. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the introduction round. Sebastian, may I start with you? You have taught most probably hundreds, maybe thousands of logistics people in your career, including myself, I have to say. Thank you very much. And what is the special thing in logistics from your side? Why should people come and join us in this great industry from your point of view?
Yeah, there are 100 reasons, so that would be maybe too much. But I think I would put it from the relevance. So I think, and that is very interesting. When I started teaching in logistics in the 19th, it was more a niche market. Instead now, really the relevance of logistics has grown very much. And I think the COVID-19 crisis and also the crisis that we are now facing with the supply chain risk, that more and more students and obviously the public is getting aware of that. Another advantage is in former times payment used to be very low in the logistics areas. In universities still is. No, I'm not complaining anymore. But I think there's also a big changement in that. I think now if the logistics service providers, but also of course logistics positions within industry, they know if they want to have qualified people, they have to pay a market price. And I think also and this is very interesting. Money is not everything. Otherwise, people would not. But I think, and now I come to the points of logistics. What makes logistics more special? Because maybe in consulting you can also earn money in other areas. I think the beauty of logistics and supply chain management is that it's very complex. And it has a lot of different aspects. I think it's an area which is highly relevant for sustainable issues in terms of environmental issues. Our students are eagerly working. If I make a master's thesis or a bachelor thesis, CO2 reduction or road to CO2 emission, we have 500 of students, or maybe not 500, but a lot of. So it's relevant for the sustainable issues. But also, we can come to that also later. It's very relevant from the digital point of view. So it's getting more and more attractive from people who would like to, who have more, or who are more in favor of the IT side. And last but not least, logistics business is people business, and I think that's also an advantage. I think that the logistics community is very hands-on, down to earth, and this is another, if you would call it like that, advantage of the area. So that's maybe a first big picture. We could now go to very many different areas. But from my point of view, these are some of the most important.
I think that was like a perfect helicopter view on the top topics for why to join logistics industry. Julia, you are fighting for the best talents in your job every day, basically. So what are you doing to make the world of logistics, of course, in Quenberger Group, as attractive as possible for potential candidates and also, of course, for existing staff?
Basically, we are trying to show the public what Sebastian just said. It's a very dynamic industry. I don't know if some of you have heard the keynotes from today. It's digitalization. It's very innovative. We have to deal with a lot of sustainability issues day by day, and customer expectations changed very fast and are changing still. So it's really demanding, challenging, and this is what we will show to the public and to possible employees, I would say, that it is really an exciting job. And job profiles as well, they changed. It's not anymore very strictly doing A to B routines every day. Due to the digitalization, our jobs really changed. And one thing that was really important that Sebastian said, and I really like it, the thing we are selling is not a product, it's people, and it's ourselves we are selling. So this is more or less what we do every day.
Thank you very much. So I'm sure people will join. A lot of people will join. So question to the students. Why did you choose logistics? When did you know that this is the right field for you, and why did you enter in the field of logistics? Whoever wants to start.
Oh, sorry, please go.
So for me personally, I just realized that I missed the economic aspect at my first bachelor degree, and yeah, then I wanted to have a study where I can organize things. You have to have a passion and to love organizing, and I wanted a job where, like you said, I don't do every time the same and know, okay, I go into my job and after a few hours I go away from back home, away from work. So there are many challenges every day, and yeah, I can see it in my job now after 3 weeks that the challenges, but also the opportunities, are really great.
Thank you very much. Jacob, you wanted to continue?
Yeah, for me personally, logistics were, my father is in the logistics branch, so it was, I was confronted with it since I was very young. But nowadays I think that logistics are very influenced by geopolitical situations, by COVID crisis, and therefore you have a very dynamic and changing working environment. And it's not just that you go into the job and do the same work every day. And that's what I really liked about logistics. And also it's a very, very broad industry. You can go into like process management, intralogistics, freight forwarder industry. There are a lot of possibilities. And that's what I really like about logistics.
Thank you very much. Adrienne?
Yes, I see another side of the logistics from the education. So it's really colorful because I see also the logistics and as an engineering. And we don't have same semester by the university because always we have to learn new things, and always we can share something new. So I think it's a very dynamic part of the industry also, and also the university and the education also in Hungary. So I think it's very interesting educational thing. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Shimon, last but not least.
I got fond of logistics during my bachelor, and I knew from the very beginning it's a perfect fit for me because by that time I was studying for, let's say, 14 years straight. And in the logistics, I could see that what I do has an impact on the touchable things, you know. So there is high level of recognition. It's just a small things, you know, seeing the new process, moved pallet in the warehouse. But it's, you know, it's just part of me. So I knew that's the recognition, and I love that.
Thank you, thank you. So definitely we have a lot of excited people about logistics here on stage. When we had our preparation rounds before the summit, we discussed if there are certain personas, is there a stereotype logistics person where we can say, okay, this is fit for all, or this kind of people we want to have in the industry, or this kind of people we need to have in the industry. So how would you see this topic? I think, Julia, you brought it up, right?
Yes, I did. But I think that the students already said a few things. What we've heard is like having passion. Like, I think that's what you said. And I think the persona of a logistics person working in this industry is we are outgoing. So we are in the people business and we are really outgoing and we love to do service, whether we do it for the customer or the partner or we do it for other departments. And we also love to find solutions and to find solutions day by day, hour by hour, how much it is needed. So I think it's kind of, I would not say a stereotype, but we have certain skills in common in this service industry.
I think also it's the people who work here are very pragmatic. I think this is very important, but I think that was always the case, but it changed a bit. I think in former times, if you would look at logistics, they were more, the logistician had to be something like a generalist. And now I noticed that within the field of logistics, we're getting more and more specialists, which was before not. We were talking before about the IT specialists. They have to have a pragmatic approach. They have to know. They have to work with the people, because if they go to a manager at the warehouse and they cannot get in contact with him, they get lost.
That's it.
But not only this, I think also we talked about data analysts. Before, I don't know, the old logistics managers that I knew, they were very good in drinking very often. And now, and if they would look at the data, they would look at the data, but in a very different way as now our students hopefully do. I think logistics is getting much more systematic, much more analytic approaches, and that is changing for the industry also. I think we need the logisticians still need also intuition, because it's sometimes not so easy, because if you look at the data, sometimes it does not tell you. And I think I could imagine, maybe also we could ask the students, that this is really a challenge because how to bring these people together, to work together in a logistics service provider, and also for our university, if we are hiring, my institute has a broad spectrum of activities. So always I have to look, where do I have the people who have more competences in operations research, in this kind. Others are more interested into, I don't know, environmental issues. And the third one wants to know about new teaching technologies, online technologies, how to reorganize. And I think that is a challenge. And I'm not so sure for the young students when it's the best point or best time to specialize. I'm old, so I always think it's better to go from the from allgemein in Spezialgebiet Spezielle, from the more general view to the special view. But I don't know if this is possible. It's very nice also that you were studying before geography, because we had, when in former times, we had in our institute a big map of the world. Yeah. And if I would have an oral discussion, I would ask for a port or something, and obviously if somebody does not know this, he would not be failed, but only to show the students that is, I think for logistics also important to have some idea of geography. Yeah? Sure. And with the Ukraine now, many people did not know. So that was how is your approach to you try to be more specific or
yes,
more? Yeah?
Yes. And if I have to say one key word, maybe it's the proactive attitude. It's very important, I think, not just in the work, at the university also, and in the learning also. And we have a lot of connection with companies at the university, and always say us, because the system and everything could be better and better with proactive attitude. And maybe this is the key word for us, and I see that.
Any further comments? Sorry, any further comments? I forgot that I don't have a headset.
Yeah, I think as a student, it's difficult to specialize at an early stage because, I mean, logistics are very broad, and my approach is that I'm trying to gain as much experience as possible in the professional environment by participating in internship programs to get an idea of what is interesting for me. But I think specialization within the studies are difficult.
Yeah, sometimes comes with your bachelor thesis or something.
Yes. And sometimes in the master.
In
So at our Fachhochschule, it's like the first 4 semesters are more general, and then in the 5th you can choose if you want to go either in the transport direction or into the supply chain management direction. But I think, the job doesn't. If you have a job in supply chain management, like for example, and I did the transport specification, it doesn't matter because you get a good overview after all. And to your question with the personas, I think it's also very important that you have some personalities, like you're talkative, like you said, that you're a communicative person, because you have so much contact with writers, with customers, and with the other departments. And without communication, the work won't be done. And
I appreciate actually the approach that is at the universities, because there's no better thing in the early stage of a career if you choose a good specialization, but there is no worse thing when you choose a bad specialization, which happened to me as well, and I was frustrated for a few months. And I appreciate the uni's approach, because you get all of the theoretical subjects and you get kind of strategy, finance, logistics, IT, and so on. And the career shapes you. You just specialize on what you want. That's my point of view so far. And I think that's the balance between the career and universities. Just it comes by itself.
Right. You know, for my career, it was completely different. I started in a very, very deep specialization, and then afterwards I became a complete generalist in the field of logistics. But I think when you look at the university point of view, I fully agree. You start with the big picture, and then you try to go deeper and deeper. You know, what are your expectations, talking to our high potentials here on stage? What are your expectations towards your employer? What is the perfect environment for you to work in the field of logistics?
I think there should be an environment given where you can bring in your ideas that you learn from your studies, and that there is someone who listens to you even if it's not executed then. But yeah, I think a very dynamic team is necessary. I would also would want from my employer that I have the possibility to go abroad for a few years, gain experience in a different country, and yeah, that's my main point.
Thank you. Oh, I see many people waving, so you agree or you disagree?
Yes, I totally agree.
I would maybe add that for me it's a fast career progression. I would appreciate if my employer is much more like merit-based on the part of what I did than when it depends the managerial progression on the things how long you are in a company. So that's also important for me to be much more dynamical. You know, when the managers are people that know something and did something, except spending too many years in a company.
That's a pretty valid point, right? But maybe Julia, that's something for you. I think there is a change in the industry, right? Not automatically the persons who are the oldest in the company will get the next whatever.
This is what I already mentioned. The job profiles also changed, and also like when you're a leader in a logistics company, you really have to know what are the strengths and weaknesses of your team. It's a lot of teamwork. It's a lot of really people business. You know the people who work for you, and developing people is one of the most important things in a logistics company, because you don't want to just recruit and hire those people. You want to keep them and you want to develop them. And as most of the logistics companies are very international, it's something where you can easily develop people, and I think it doesn't matter if it's a lot of years inside the company. It could also, I think, just an example, we have some people who were in our company, then got abroad or to another company, and they came back, which is something that we really appreciate, you know? So they loved the job that they did, and they also had the possibility to develop. What is important is that you really want it, of course. But I don't think you would say this if you don't want to. So, yeah.
Is there any special program how you support this in the company?
Yeah, I think you had a slide right at the beginning. We have
oh yeah, it disappeared.
internet, no worries.
Maybe we can have it again.
So we have internal, real big programs where we develop our young professionals.
It's there now.
Yeah, and also leaders. The young generation is something we do especially for apprentices. Every apprentice goes through the young generation program at Weenberger Logistics, but leadership and young professional program, you are announced from your leader to these programs. So if your leader sees potential in you, you will get announced to these programs. You will also have an interview with the executive board. You have to make an English test as well, because all the programs are in English, because they're international, so you're together with people from all over the world. And here we really focus on finding and developing the skills of our people, and very individually.
Sebastian, is there a close cooperation between universities and the private sector in, let's say, training and skill sets? That the industry is so dynamic. How can we catch up with all the changes and bring it in the head of the people?
Yeah, there are a lot of corporations. So obviously we help companies get in contact to the students. So making seminars or presentations of the company. And we also are working in these kind of environments in different companies, different settings, I would say. We have, for example, we did the biggest program we did an MBA program for the Porsche holding, which was very successful for their kind of leadership program a bit in between. I personally working with this. We also work. It's very funny for the military, Austrian military. So they have the civilian view also, and a lot of people know that we have quite let's say. A good pragmatic approach in teaching and in business education. And from my point of view, this would be this was from our students that we had to come in contact. But also, I think it's very interesting. For example, in former times, it was very difficult for academics to make careers in the logistics sector because they were very often. Or there were more people that were not academics, and so they had very difficulties. But I think now, and there also we help the companies. It's a challenge for if you get academics to integrate them into the companies, to do the onboarding, to give them the skills, team skills, for example, which we try to make business cases in the university, but it's not the same that you work there. But what we are very also good in is in trying to educate practical people who have been working in the industry but don't have an academic background. Like this, we have a program that's Universitätslehrgang Logistik und Supply Chain Management. Unfortunately, it's in German because it's for the Austrian market. But there we help practitioners that have not been in the possibility to study, to study Friday, Saturday, to develop their skills, then they can make a diploma and then also a master program. But we are not the only one. There's also the Fachhochschulen, the Universities of Applied Science. They also have a program like this. So I think we work in both directions to help our students to get into the working and also the people who have been working in the industry without academic background to find to get a better education. And I think we do in many cases. But very often, also for leadership program. Today, I make an offer for a workshop for a company, for a logistics service provider. Before I came here, I sent. Then there are very often special topics then.
All right. When we are here on stage, we are talking, of course, when we talk about leadership in logistics, mainly about white collar, right? But we know that our whole industry would not work at all without blue collar, without all the drivers. We heard it previously on stage that the situation with the Ukraine drivers who went back to fight for their country at the moment. We have lack of drivers in whole Europe, basically in the whole world. If you look at North America, it's even worse than in Europe, I think, and similar in the warehouses, you know. And if we talk about leadership in logistics, you know, to interact between the office people and the people in the warehouse and the drivers in order that the whole chain really works pretty well is essential. So asking our student audience here, how much experience do you have? Did you have the chance to load the truck already?
No.
Yes.
One.
I mean, I loaded trucks when I performed my military service because I was a truck driver. so it's not the same. But in general, I would say that it's important that there are clear communication paths for the blue-collar workers to communicate with the white-collar workers. And I mean, from my experience at MAN, I worked at the manufacturer in Steyr, and they had weekly meetings with the management and the blue-collar workers. And I think that's very important to integrate blue-collar workers in projects and keep them updated about what's going on in the management, and also vice versa.
Yeah, very good. Simon, you want to add?
Yeah, from my experience, I would add for the communication, it's also perfect to communicate what are they working on, like at a higher goal, actually what they want to achieve, because when the operational worker in the warehouse, that's from my experience and point of view, knows what's above it, what's the higher goal, then the motivation could actually rise. And what helped the most was having the supervisor, his manager, being the native speaker in the same language. That was the best thing in there, because in a warehouse, there's the biggest, actually, language barrier and language gap.
And there is the cooperation. We found that we had a research at the university that if the officer or engineering or the leader set the drivers when they have to go and they set the time window, they always was in later and lating, but if the driver could say it to the officer, in 99% was in time. So, but it's not was a difficult changing in the time window, but if the driver could work with together the engineers or officers, it works. So I think the cooperation is very important.
Cooperation and communication, as I think it's also very important to be down to earth, so all of the person and all of the people, and yeah, providing to speak the same language. And I had the experience, I had my internship for 3 months last semester at a transport company, and I talked very much with truckers, and yeah, they were all also like me. It doesn't matter if it's which type you are, if you're in the office or if you're a trucker, just stay calm and yeah, communicate and be a team and work together.
Very nice. So, you know, overall communication is key in logistics, right? But we know in real practice, sometimes it's easier said than done, right? Because sometimes it's day down in the warehouse and day up in the office, and the we is not that easy. Julia, you have some best practice examples for us, how you deal with the situation?
Yeah, sure. For example, very big warehouses where we have around 1,000 blue-collar workers, and you have some shift leaders in there. And of course, they are working on the same processes day by day, but as it is in practice, you always take the best worker to be a shift leader, and then he gets into a kind of a leadership position. And this is very hard because the others say, well, you're one of us, and now you're doing okay, trying to be something better, or what are you doing here? So this is where we go into the warehouses and really give them a training, show them, see, this is your role now, stay authentic, stay as you are, stay hands-on as you always were, but we try to develop their leadership skills as well. So this is one thing, and the other thing is that when you start at Queenberger Logistics, you have to get into a truck and you have to go onto a tour, and every apprentice has the chance also for having insights into loading, unloading, also custom services, and also job rotation, so that you can go down into a warehouse and help those people, get to know the people and know that you are one of a real big group working all together for one purpose.
I think that's a really good and important point. In my job now, there's a 2 weekly meeting where my team leader and another colleague go to the warehouse and want to be there and just see how the processes really are and how the people are and talk in person and not just writing or calling.
Any further comments on the topic, or because we talked a lot about digitalization today, and we talked a lot about that we need new skills in the industry. But when you are sitting in front of a computer and even there is written one pallet, 500 kilo, it could be a quite different pallet if you go down to the warehouse, and it could be a Euro pallet, it could be a US pallet, it could be stackable, not stackable. And if there is a good understanding and cooperation between white collar and blue collar, I think the whole company has a big benefit out of it, and a better understanding for all the logistical processes. Coming to another topic, what is very difficult for blue-collar workers, home office. Very difficult to load a truck from the home office, I think, up to now. Is this important in your decision-making process now? I mean, the whole world changed in the last 2 years, and for a certain time people were very happy that they could come to an office again because it was not allowed. But is it something where you say it is a must for you to have a home office possibility in your employment?
For me personally, I don't think it's a must, but I think it's like a goodie, it's like a benefit. If you're able to say, okay, tomorrow I will work from home, and you have the possibility. And I think the system of flex work is pretty much the one which I prefer. So you have to be 2 times in a week in the office, and the other 3 times you can choose either if you want to go to the office and see your colleagues and talk to each other in person, or if you want to be at home. And I think it's a good mix, what makes the work good.
Yeah, for me personally, it's also not a must-have, but I think as the work-life balance is getting more important nowadays, companies should be able to offer a home office if possible, but if we're coming back to the blue-collar workers, it's not possible for them to have a home office. So I think this is a point where the companies have to get creative and offer the blue-collar workers also these work-life balance benefits.
Beside of home office.
Yeah,
work-life balance is a pretty hot topic. How do you judge the situation at the moment? Especially if you are in a very operative job in logistics industry, it was always challenging. But I think the last 2 years were not challenging. They were just walking through hell. And somebody told me once, if you walk through hell, keep on walking. But how do you see this? Overtimes, stressful work hours, is this something where you say, never, 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 or okay for a certain period, or no, my work-life balance is the most important?
I think...
No.
Lady first, so you can...
Okay, so yes, the life balance is very important, but now I see that in the universities it's very hard, because the students always find us and always try to help for us because I think the online lessons and the online teaching is very hard also in the logistics. So now we try to find the balance in the teaching also. Yeah, it's another side of that, but we find it, and also the companies, because in Hungarian there are a lot of companies in the teaching as a dual education. So the students could go to the companies working in the by the semesters, also under the semesters. And it's very useful because the students has a lot of practicing skills or something, but now they could stay at home also, and it was very, very hard lessons also, to make the lessons.
Yeah, I think I would call that personal resistance is, or resilience is very important. And from my point of view, the biggest challenge is from the woman with children. Although we live in a society where there should be equal rights between men and women, but the reality is that the women, for which reason, or most of the women, not all, but are much more, or have much more pressure in work. And I think for the logistics companies, or for women working in logistics, that is really a challenge. And the companies, the companies have to find ways, but especially also the leaders. So I think that it's much in this, or my perception. I had the luck that I had choose a 50% job during the pandemic, so I was very relaxed and could sail on a sailboat. But what I noticed is that the employees, they need much more support from the leaders. And we had, unfortunately, I also had one. We tried to find solutions, but the pressure was so. 3 young children, all at home. It's really terrible, and from my point of view, this must be one of the lessons learned of this Corona crisis, because in this volatile world where we face a lot of risks, I think this enormous pressure from many sides, from the private life and also from the job, that will. We will see this, hopefully not more often, but we will see this again and again. And so companies and leaders, managers, have to be prepared. And from my point of view, this is something, but it's not to do with logistics, but empathy or love for the employees is very important. I think it's a very old-fashioned term, and maybe not politically correct, but it's very important to have love for the people, empathy for the people, because then at least they may, or the chance that they feel better is much higher. And the same for the students, of course, not but we note, and we get so much good feedback in the crisis, as you said, changing to online teaching and online studying, and that is important, and this also shows me how important this is. But obviously for the manager and for the leaders, it's an additional not stress, but yeah, competence you need, but also energy. I don't know, I'm not so metaphysic, but it's some exchange of energy, and that needs to be refilled. So therefore you have to go sailing. The world, I know, run a marathon or whatsoever. I don't know what is your source of energy. Yeah? So to come back to the question, I think that would be a challenge. How we can make our employees more resilient, more strong, to fight the private and also the company issues, because it's an illusion that we could divide the business life from the private life. I mean, they should not interact too much, or I'm not so sure, but they should not negatively interact. And this is why also from the business life you have to take care. And if you see a problem, and like all problems, the more early you act, the better is. The higher is the chance that you can resolve. Yeah. So I think that will be, from my point of view, and if we talk about training, you ask, this is my favorite now, to speak about resilience, because I know that is really very important. Also, it's kind of like a psychology. We have to have, because in psychology they know how to do it, so you have to think positive, you have to take everything like it is, and to challenge that, and there's so many rules there, and the biggest why women are very often so much have not problems, or the challenge is that the women, many women want to make it perfect. They want to have the perfect family and the perfect work. But in a crisis, unfortunately, is hard, very hard. So they try to do that, and instead men, or even I don't know, maybe it's a cliche, but I think there's some truth in that. And so what we have to do, we have to to make the men more responsible, say take care of your wife also, and the women to stay. Yeah, okay, you have to do this 80-20 rule, where 80% it's very difficult to tell as an employee to your employees what they should do in private, but I think as a leader you have to, if you have to speak and you have to communicate. Yeah, we talked about that, and then try to help. It's not always successful, but sometimes it's...
Tomorrow we have a panel discussion about top women in the logistics industry, and I had some discussions before our summit here, and somehow we saw a little trend that women coming from Central East European countries, we see much more leaders in the logistics industry than we see in Austria.
Not everything. My favorite is not everything was wrong in socialism. And one thing was, that is the background, that also in China, I'm a professor in China, the colleagues are all female. It's very nice.
But that's the reason why you are a professor in China?
But it's like this in China. They all work. There's the possibilities. They have for the children. If it's good or bad, it's another question. But they have the possibility after 1 month or 2 months they give to the asylum. Mm-hmm.
It's even better in Eastern Europe. That's what we know from our colleagues. Yeah.
We need definitely more support. We need. Mm-hmm.
All right, time is flying. As I see on the watch, we have just 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. One last question to our students here on stage. Sustainability. You know, one of the topics of the summit is also Green Deal and sustainability. Also thinking about corporate social responsibility, and when we had the real estate panel, Charlie Brückner said for him sustainability is very much also people related, that in the buildings they are creating, that the people should feel well, that in a sustainable building, in a sustainable environment, people like to work. So how important is this for you?
In my opinion, sustainability is very important. So we have the 3 pillars: economical aspect, ecological aspect, and also, like you mentioned, the social aspect. And in my company where I work now, sustainability is really, really important. And everything you do and you want to change in the company has to be sustainable. And it gets more and more important, and we have to yeah, keep an eye on our world and our employees. So yeah, have to try to stay or to get sustainable.
Thank you. Jakob?
Yeah, of course, sustainability is a very important topic, but I think there is still a lot of room for improvement in especially the small and medium enterprises. And yeah, I think it's good when young people have the mindset of sustainability and that it's important. And yeah, I hope in the future that the young people can drive the sustainability in the companies even more.
Thank you very much. I think very often in history, young people were the drivers for sustainability and sustainable activities. And sometimes the old can really learn from the young. No doubt about it. All right, thanks a lot. 6 seconds left, so we are pretty good in timing. Are there any questions from our audience here? You guys are not falling asleep, right? You're still here? Anything on Slido? Any direct personal questions? Good. Then I want to say thank you very much. It was great having you on stage. Thanks also for coming from Prague, from Hungary, and it was great discussion. Wish you all the best for your personal career. Be the best logistics leaders. We need you in the industry, and yeah, looking forward to keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.